Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming into another video. So, I was sitting here thinking about making a therapy session, and I was trying to mull over if I wanted to talk about what's going on in a friend of mine's life, and I'm telling myself, nah, because it's not my business necessarily, that kind of thing. So, and then I saw something on IG that prompted me to turn on the camera to make a therapy session anyway. That's that kind of thing. But in Akron, Ohio, a gentleman by the name of, I think his name is Jalen Walker. Please forgive me if I got it wrong. The information is going all over social media. I just want to send condolences to his family. I don't know what happened, but the police shot him in Akron, Ohio, 90 times. I saw the picture, one of the pictures that's going around where it's sensitive content. This is one of the rare times where I decided to click on it. And he was cuffed. He was cuffed. So I didn't read anything on it. I just looked at the picture, looked at the caption, didn't read anything else. I'm not going to get into the spiel. I don't want to do that. I just want to say condolences and just once again say this is yet another situation where the image itself is troublesome. I see a brother basically look like my size on the ground, shot completely up with his hands behind his back, handcuffed. I mean, it's just like, if this is what we're doing, then maybe we should reconsider America. If this is acceptable, then maybe we should really consider what it is that says to the rest of the world as we continue to kick this can down the road. It's about as much as I want to say that. And also, given the fact that it's in Akron, Ohio, I'm looking forward to LeBron James saying something about this. I know he will. It's not like I'm calling him out. I just know that is going to be, that's a natural thing. You're going to hear him say something. It's just ridiculous. So I'm pretty sure we will hear about that. But my heart is a little heavy for my good friend Karen, because she lost her brother yesterday. I did not ask, but I do want to send condolences to her family and her loved ones. And the reason why I wanted to speak about that is not because I want to say what happened, because I did not ask. I didn't know her brother. I might have met him once. But it's relevant to my mindset because of where he's going to be buried. And it turns out that he's going to be buried in the same area as my mother. Not just in the same cemetery, but in the same section. I believe it's that section. Now, unfortunately, I'm not that greatest son in the world, because since my mother passed, I haven't gone back to that cemetery but once with my grandmother. And that was maybe a couple of weeks after the funeral to make sure that we saw the name stone on there, the tombstone name plate that we had purchased for her. Make sure that we see what it said and make sure it looked the way we wanted it to. I ain't been back since, because for me, it's just very empty, going there by myself. My mother meant so much to me. I just don't feel a sentiment to do that. Just go there and just, do what normal humans do. Drop off flowers, say a prayer. That's, for some reason, my psyche doesn't even want to do that. And I told my mother, and we had conversations about that. We had conversations, and I told her, I was like, I'm not the person that goes to the place where a person is gone and put, because for me, it's like they're not there. The only thing that's there is a reminder of what was lost. Their spirit is with God, and so that's how I view it. And it's just, it's good for some, and it's good for the memory of others, and I think it matters a lot to a lot of people. But it's for my mindset, I just have not wanted to go back to see that. It's just a reminder of all of the worst experiences of my life. My mother passing away was the worst experience of my life. So to just go back there to just be reminded of that, I suffer with my mental health too much to think that would be a good thing to do on my own. And, most of the people who would mourn my mother aren't in this area with me. Like my good friend B, who she's now moved out of state. She was close to my mom. A lot of my friends who knew my mother, I've lost touch with a lot of those folks, so they wouldn't go with me to visit her at all. So for me, it's just like giving away that I am. It's been no day where I wake up in the morning and say, let me go see mom. Like, that's just not in my head at all. As cold as that may sound, it's just, she's not actually there in my head. So for me, it's like, this is one of those situations where, and my good friend Kay, you guys know the ebbs and flows that I've dealt with in regards to, just if you follow my not lives, but my therapy sessions, I've mentioned her many times, and just the various different things that I've dealt with in regards to my own self. It's just amazing how at this point, looking at what the reality is she has to suffer this. It's sad for me, but I also realize that we have this together now. I now have someone who can go with me to visit my mother because she'll have her brother there too, is what I'm saying to you all. We never had no reason to go. Never had nobody who would need to be there with me for any reason, And so, of course, she, being my friend, invited me to come with her to bury her brother 2 days from now. And I haven't told her I would come or not come because, to be honest with you, I haven't left the house since since the last time I told you guys I left the house to deal with the situation at hand. But you know what? Just like last time, this is one of those situations where a friend may need me. Just like last time, I was happy to go help a friend. Nothing else could grab me out of the house but necessity and friendship. And so I don't know if the Lord will want me to go. I don't even know if it's appropriate for me to go, but because I didn't know her brother, and they're going through the time that they are, and for me not to be close to the family, for me to have only met her father and her mother once, it's like, what am I showing up for? Why do they want to see me? Like, you know what I mean? But I think at the end of the day, to just know that my friendship with Kay has something that ties to it that has nothing to do with the prayer list, nothing to do with the history there, nothing to do with anything, but just the fact that just an unfortunate truth and reality to our lives, that we have a loved one in the same place. We got a loved one that's buried in the same cemetery in the same area. And so I hurt for her deeply. As you guys know how I feel about the lady there, KT, and I've talked to you guys about her in many situations, and it just really saddens me to see that this is what the Lord had in store in regards to her brother, and that we would have this in common. I talked about 2 or maybe 3 therapy sessions ago, maybe even 4. It hasn't been a lot since this conversation, but I talked about how my father and my mother met one another with my cousin having passed away, and that death had brought them together. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it just feels so strange to see how this is now something that I look at and say, I don't know if it's bringing me closer to her, but like I said, the reality of the circumstances, ridiculous. The coincidence is sad. It's really sad. It's how I look at it. But I don't know what to say, man. I don't even really want to verbalize all my thoughts because I just don't really have the words right now. I feel like my relationship with God has always been strong, but over the last 2 weeks since I went through what I went through, struggling with everything that broke away, just all the things that have happened over the last 2 weeks, including having the court date situation happen, just all the stuff that I've talked to you about. It just comes down to just watching the Lord work in the way that he does, and continuing to see change in the way that he is, moving things and making things pair together and making things come full circle. And it seems like certain things hint at other things. It feels like, and if you follow me, my mind sees pairings in so many different things. I look for patterns and things like that. I'm telling you, the Lord is making some great changes in my life. And it just seems like the people that I care about a great deal have gone through struggles around the same time I have. And I just am looking forward to times getting better for all the people I care a great deal about. And I'm looking forward to something making sense, I guess, around me as it pertains to my own personal life and just having the ability to kind of do some things normally. You know what I mean? I was thinking about my mental health. I was thinking about, how much I've been focused on my channel, but not necessarily focused on how to fix my living situation. And I'll look at just various things that I see online. Like a good Facebook friend of mine just is going through a tough time. She puts out so much good energy. She's one of those people that posts things that uplift people. Every day she's trying to manifest some type of positive energy to share with someone else. And she's going through some incredibly brutal times. Difficult things are hitting her all at once. And I just remember what I told her about a month and a half ago on one of her posts when she was saying she felt like she was being attacked. I was like, that's because your good energy is reaching places where it needs to reach. And what I was referring to was myself. The things that she was saying online was making me feel better. I don't know who else was paying attention, but she was helping me feel better. And then from there, I was hoping to take that energy, and I believe I did, and turned it into content on this channel. Took some of the positive energy that she would say and just a little bit of the uplifting that she would give me, and I would apply it to what it is I was doing in the day. And the same goes with the morning text from my friend KT, who just lost her bro. I was taking that good energy she gave me and applying it to things that I could try to get, do in my day. Her encouragement would help me in so many different ways, as I've mentioned before. And it just seems like there's a pattern there where as people send out good energy, they're being attacked to start this year. They're going through hard times. I feel it's myself putting out good energy and doing these therapy sessions and having the conversations I've been having. It feels like to start this year, these first 3 months, I've just been getting hit with haymakers. And it seems like everybody around me who puts out good energy is getting hit with haymakers. And so that's what I'm trying to say. These are the patterns that I'm seeing. This is the consistency around me. It's the consistency I'm seeing here. It just seems like the good is getting beat up. And I don't want to consider myself the good because that's so lame when you know of your own sins. You know what I mean? That's not real in my own head to be understood of all of my good and bad in my life. But just to say that the good energy that I put out hasn't been returned necessarily in graceful times and good decision making within myself and favor necessarily, but more so just tough times. And then those tough times just make me feel as if the weight of those tough times just continue to compile, as if there's a straw waiting to just break the back itself. And I felt like over the last couple of weeks when I've got hit with all of those different things that came my way, it just kind of pulled me a little further away from God, further into to a space that wasn't of him. And throughout this process, I just felt like that would take away from some of the time spent that I would otherwise be praying, otherwise be doing things that better my energy. And in this process of making the mistake of not being as close to God as I should have been, this happens. I feel like it's almost like I took my foot off the gas as it pertains to my spirit and something bad took place. Obviously, nothing that took place was my fault. Obviously, I don't even know what happened. But I'm talking about when you ain't been praying as much as you had, you ain't been living as right as you should, you ain't been keeping up with your good energy. You've been letting the weight of your problems pull you away from God and whether toward him. And you're in spiritual warfare with evil, and you've been waging war against evil like I have, trying my very best to say the good word, fight the good fight, and fight these inner demons every day with prayer. You have to assume you're going to be attacked. You have to assume you're going to be hit with haymakers because you're doing damage to the enemy. You know what I mean? And that's what I would say to my friend KT. That's what I would say to the young lady online that puts out that good energy. And that's what I say to the person in the mirror. And that's what I say to you. If you're putting out good energy, you're going to get hit with haymakers. And they're going to try to stagger you in such a way to make you feel like your uphill battle and your process of fixing your life was never even a process at all. As if all the hard work you did can be undone in a matter of moments. And while that may be true in life, that may not necessarily be true necessarily be true as it pertains to God himself and how he views your heart. You know, when I was thinking about all of the different things that I want to see myself do and have yet to accomplish, and I think about how I hadn't been living up to my own standards as of late. I got into a prayer about that, asking the Lord to help me fix these issues, to help me get my head into a space where I'm pleased again. And he, you know, the energy that came to me is, I know your heart. As you're being attacked and feel as if you're failing, you aren't actually failing, because here you are. You're talking to me, you know, you're speaking to me, you're speaking of me. And of course, in this camera right now, I'm speaking about him. And so that's what came to me. It's like what you can do, though, what you allow yourself to do sometimes is psych yourself out by way of your mistakes into thinking that you're not forgiven, and then just by default not forgiving yourself because of it. And then that will coerce you into mistakes that God will have to, you know, deal with you in regards to. Now, forgiveness is his right to give, I'd imagine, but whether or not you're going to compound your own problems and hurt your own self, well, that doesn't often come with you stumbling when Satan puts a banana peel on your feet. That's not when you fail God. It's when you don't get up. It's when you don't get up that you ultimately disappoint the Lord. It's when you start telling yourself that you deserve to slip, or that there's no way for you to get back on track when you didn't already been on track for so long. So that's what I would tell everybody. Just get back on track. The enemy's going to attack regardless, you know, and there will always be temptations and things of that nature that'll try to lead you away from what your purpose is. But at the end of the day, you know that you've earned those haymakers that are coming your way because you've done damage to the enemy. But you will get haymakers just the same if you do damage to yourself. So stay on the path of always remembering that for every time you stumble, there's an opportunity for you to rise. And that's really where God is in that process of getting you back on that wagon. You hop off that wagon, there's steps right there. And that's where God is. As you climb, make the decision to get back on track. Make the decision to do better this time, and make it so that you understand what sent you into those spaces to begin with. And I went into some bad spaces because I got hit with some hard times. But I'm able to get back on track because I had that relationship with God to begin with, and I understood that I loved myself to begin with. I understood that I had people that supported me that would need my support just the same, that would want to see me do good things for myself, you know what I mean, and for God in the name of just being a better human being, for the happiness that comes with that, you know, for that reason and for no other reason, not to please somebody else's understanding of what it is you should be or to please somebody else's standards. No, so that you can welcome the happiness and welcome the love light, as my mother would put it, into your life. That's ultimately not going to be there if you don't welcome that in there. It starts with forgiving yourself. And then from there, it trickles down to other energies that help you, like making good decisions and not hurting yourself by way of, you know, lashing out and snapping and all these different things. It starts with believing that you deserve to be forgiven, believing that those haymakers are not a reflection of you needing to be, you know, attacked or necessarily deserving it, but because you've done the good work, and there's a natural reaction to that. There's a real enemy out there that hates the good in your heart. So if you're doing good energy, you doing good things, he's going to try to revert your energy by way of your sins, by way of your pain, by way of whatever it is he can control around you, tempting other people to mess up your life around you so that you stumble. And that's all the purpose is. He gonna make them do all kinds of stuff, stumbling into hurting you, turn them into porcupines and all different other type of stuff. They be coming up to you with big old hugs, and all they got is porcupine energy. That's meant to throw you off. You're supposed to love them from afar just the same and forgive them for whatever it is that they would otherwise do, but not to let them get too close to you to hurt you. You know what I mean? It's just so many different things. But if we hurt ourselves, if we don't love ourselves first, we're gonna just moonwalk into those people by way of our own self-loathing that a lot of times will be hidden to us. Just like all other types of forms of devils and evils, they'll hide. It'll act as if it isn't there. It'll act as if it never existed and never will, while you continue to suffer the consequences of what it chooses to do in your life. And that's why I keep myself prayed up, and that's why I want to get myself into a space where I'm happy with my mental health. I'm happy with my behavioral health. I'm happy with my overall being so that my energy can be at peace, regardless of what it is that's going on around me or how the world is perceived in my head. That my house is in order, that my mindset is in order, that my spirit is continuing to be in continuous prayer, I guess you could say, for the betterment and the building of things around me, not the deterioration of my very own self by way of whatever it is that I would otherwise want, if for not that relationship with God and myself. And so that's what the encouragement that those people have shared with me has manifested within myself, a desire to get back on track quicker, to stay on track, to get through these tough times, to not succumb to the weakness of a stumble, but to revel in the idea of a rise. So that's what it is, man. I wanted to share that with you guys as I let my brainstorm. I wanted to turn this into some content that would be positive rather than just talking about people who had lost their lives, but hopefully coercing people into being more compassionate about these type of things, because I do have the same type of body type as that young man on that ground. His skin color looked a lot like mine. Never did see his face. But it's one of those situations where it's like there's so much life in all of us. There's so much possibility, so much potential in all of us. We're just one conversation or one experience away from being better, from even striving toward being even greater selves. You know what I mean? But also one tragedy away from reverting and stumbling. And if we don't know the truth, you could stay down. You know what I mean? But there's a rise to have. There's healing to receive. There's peace to obtain. There's help to be had, and as well to share with others who will need it. And even your own pain can serve some type of purpose to this creator, I believe. Even if the worst were to occur, life can manifest from that. I'm living proof, literally. And so I just want to encourage everybody to heal from their sadness, heal from their bereavement. Pray for my friend KT and her family. Pray for those who were lost in the situation with that young man who was shot by the police, the man who was lost there. Pray for his family. And pray for everybody as well. And if you do that, I'm pretty sure I'll find my prayer in there somewhere. Now, that's what it's about, man. I don't want people to think that everything's all doom and gloom just because there's a lot of bad news to provide. There's a rise to be had. There's healing to be had. There's experience to obtain. And a way to be in touch once these experiences come, even if they're pain, even if they're trauma. You are now part of a unique group of people with whatever experiences you have. And no matter how unique your experience is, there's somebody somewhere who needs to know you exist, who needs to know that you are fighting, because they are too fighting that same fight you're fighting. I believe this wholeheartedly. That's why I tell you to keep going, even if it's something that I don't even fathom, even if it's something I can't necessarily get with. If you're dealing with something in your heart that you know you need to overcome, just understand that you're not alone. If you're dealing with some pains that you can't heal, or you feel like you've been hit with life so hard that you just fell back into the worst spaces of your life, just know there's been a prayer prayed for you. And that is the beauty of having a relationship in prayer. You can apply that prayer to those who are going through the same thing you're going through. That's what I'm telling you. Anytime I put myself through anything, even time I go through anything, anytime I know a friend is going through anything or a family member is going through anything, that gives me the understanding and the idea of something to pray for someone else. So, for example, if I fell off of the proverbial wagon, I can pray for everybody who's done that, who's going through that, who's about to go through that, help somebody not go through that. If I'm dealing with some type of heartbreak or some type of bereavement, I could pray for everybody who's going through the bereavement I have. I could pray for everybody who's going through what it is I got going on. And if I do that, I'll ultimately help myself just by default. These are things that spiritual people can always do. You can turn what is meant to harm you into something that is meant to put out energy that is not meant to deteriorate yourself and others. I believe that. I believe that if you find yourself in a situation where you have a horrible way, that way is going to put you in certain places. And in that place, you're going to be able to do good things. Simply put, even through your misery, you'll be able to pray good prayers for people who are also in misery, and you're going to see how your presence makes that place better. You're going to see how your prayers improve upon the environment you're in. These are the things I know, man. We got to use our lives while we're here, because we don't know how quickly we're going to be gone. Both of the people I referred to were not very old, unfortunately. Lord had his peace in regards to their lives, and we have to be at peace with it, even though we hurt, we cry, we don't want them to leave. I've been through grieving and bereavement so much. At this point, I just pray for everybody who's gone through it every day. I have a whole list of people that I pray for that I know who've gone through that. Just like I have a list of people that I pray for nothing. You know what I mean? And that's what it's about. It's about understanding what pains are out there and applying my prayer to the healing of said pains, and hopefully applying my voice also to solutions or ideas of how to help look at things from the angle that I see, at least. Compassion helps. Encouragement helps. Being help helps. And allowing someone else to help you is help for them. Allowing them to be a blessing to you when you need it will give them purpose in a lot of cases. By asking for help, you will be a blessing to someone else. If you ask the right person for the right type of help and you're willing to do what you need to do to hold up your end of the bargain, and usually that's not a whole lot if you're asking for help. But people do ask that you get up if you fall off the wagon. People do ask that you extend yourself as best you can to meet them halfway if they're willing to do so much. People do ask that you pray or what have you if they believe in that sort of thing, or extend good energy, or at least don't be a D, as I often say. I try my very best. But at the same time, I don't know if my very best is good enough when I find myself away from people that need me. But I try to make that up by saying what I need to say in this camera that I really mean. I know what I need to do for myself is get some help for my mental health so I can be in the lives of the people who need me, so that I could be there for my friend, so that I could be there for other people, so I can go and ultimately be a much more helpful man in this world. But I think from my unique position, I can help in a different way. And I think that's what the Lord allows me to understand and surmise. And that's what I'm trying to do. I don't know if I'll be able to show up for my friend's brother's funeral situation. I'm pretty sure with my way, I probably will not be there. But I want everyone to know how sorry I am this happened. I want everyone to know that I care a great deal about my friend KT. I want everybody to know that that young man didn't deserve 90 bullets. And regardless of what happened there, why, what, nothing needs to be said in regards to that, other than he didn't deserve that. And that's where my head is, man. I just want to make good content. I just want to say whatever's on my mind. I don't know what took place with my friend's brother, but I feel it responsible to not make her relive it. So I never asked. It's one of those situations where when you've been through that, I guess you receive it however you do. But for me, I just really appreciated the few times people didn't ask me what happened. Because every time you talk to anybody, they gonna ask you. And every time you gotta tell them. See, it's only one time that person hears the story, but you're talking to everybody, and everybody wants to know what happened. So each time you talk to each and every person, you got to tell them what happened and relive it in your head, or tell them what happened and try to deal with it however you do. And I think this time I just didn't want to be yet another story. She had to tell that story again, let another person she had to tell that to. I'd rather just be like, let me lend some energy toward you that you can use and do it that way, rather than, what happened? Tell me. So to satisfy my mind while putting her through what she's dealing with in this real time, my mind is the last thing. My healed, comfortable, not in pain mind is the last thing that needs comforting or needs settling at this time. You see what I'm saying? And when you go through it, you kind of put you in a space to know what not to do. or what you would respect, or what helped you. That's what helped me, not having to tell people over and over again. Somebody just being okay with not knowing for a little while, because they're going to find out anyway. We be so quick to find out what happened. We know what happened. How it happened, that's between them and God. And if that information happens to come my way, then I'm burdened with it. That's how that's supposed to go in my mind. So that's pretty much what I got to say, everybody. I hope this content didn't bring everybody down. But I'm just really sad for my friend. I hurt for her greatly. And, of course, this is something that brings me back to my mother's situation. Brings me right back to that place. And, that's why I thought it was important that I speak on it, because of that specific thing. Otherwise, don't want to bring attention to other people's business in any way. I really want to make it my business to not. But sometimes when other people's circumstances touch your heart, it becomes a situation where now you need to vent what it is that's in your heart, if that's what you're about, which I am. But not to the detriment of other people's circumstances, certainly not to lend pain to people that I care about. So that's my intention. I just want people to know that. That's that, man. I again send condolences to the families of the lost. And I'm happy to be alive, man. I want you to know that living is something to want, man. Even though life ain't always great for a lot of people, the cards don't always line up properly. Maybe you're not sure if you're the next victim or whatever. We don't know nothing. But I think if we just take a couple steps back and look at where we're at, sometimes even where we are, even if it's not the greatest place, you breathe, you look around and realize you're alive, and that there's another day to take in something else that's new, another opportunity to get closer to whatever the truth may be. One day closer to get to overcome whatever your own personal goals may be, or another day to start establishing goals from which to accomplish. Enrich your own life. You're one day away from finding out what your purpose is. You're one day away from your next greatest plan. You're one day away from purpose. So don't give up a day before that purpose reaches you. That's what I want to leave you with. My name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.